Hey everyone, and welcome to Screams After Midnight. I am Peter, that is Tim. We talk about horror movies on this show, and this is an episode about the Patreon selection of the month of February. We realise that it's actually now March. That's because February was spent catching up in 2018 movies, because we're just about to hit our best of 2018 and worst of 2018 videos. So slightly late.
February's a short month, so it's hard.
That's true. That's true. Yes. Yeah. So February had 31 days. This would actually be still in February, just for the record. You know, we're not that late. But yeah, so this is Dementia 13. This was voted for by our patrons every month on patreon.com/mailedfuzztv. We put 4 movies up for selection, and our patrons at the $5 tier vote for which one they want us to do. The theme of this selection was ABCs, and what we mean by that is that one movie started with the letter A, one with B, one with C, and one with D, and clearly the D movie won. And we'll return to the ABCs every so often, and we'll do the next part of the alphabet. That's kind of the idea. Which I love this idea when Tim thought of it, because every so often we sometimes struggle to think of a theme. So the next time we struggle, it'll just be, let's do the next 4 letters of the alphabet. Just have to get a movie beginning with E. Yeah. Easy peasy. Which is not a movie.
That's a movie.
Yeah, it's not, but it probably is.
No, I was surprised that you picked this one, because usually, like, we'll try to start with the first movie if we're doing like a series or something.
This is a terrible joke, Tim. And do you know the worst part is? I already saw you make this joke on Twitter. I saw you say, "Oh, I'm watching Dementia 13. I should have seen the first 12 first."
People loved it. People stood up out of their seats when they read that, and they cheered.
They threw their phones into the water because nothing as good was ever going to appear on their phone screen again.
It's true.
Yeah,
some people tell me they did that.
Yeah. Funny enough, actually, on that old joke, this is a legit story. I was once with friends, and we were like, "Oh, what movie should we watch tonight?" And I was looking through my collection, and I was suggesting movies that they maybe hadn't seen. And I got to Close Encounters of the Third Kind, and no shit, one of my friends says, "No, I can't. I've not seen the first 2." Not as a joke. Not as a joke. Like, dead serious. I've not seen the first 2. That was really funny. That's what it is.
That's weird, because I feel like you don't like obviously I don't want to diminish someone for making a mistake like that, but like movies usually aren't like titled that way. Like, if it's just like a number at the end, that's fine, but that would seem like a weird title convention.
Okay, so Tim, you show someone the title Too Fast, Too Furious. What do you think they're thinking?
I mean, that's all over the place.
Assuming they've never heard of the franchise, which I mean is weird now, but like just you show a Fast and the Furious virgin, Too Fast, Too Furious as a title. What is going through their head? Do they think it's the first movie and they're just crappy at titles?
And that one is spelled, well, it's the number 2 with that one, right?
Yes, it's Too Fast, Too Furious with the numbers 2.
Okay. Is it the second one?
It is, yes.
Oh, okay. I wasn't even sure myself, because Lord knows what they've gone on to now.
Yes, because it was Fast 5. This is where because the first 4 are just all over the place with names, and then fifth one was Fast 5. The 6th one was it just Fast and the Furious 6? I don't think there was like a pun for the 6th one, was there?
Yeah, Fast and the Furious 6 doesn't really sound right either.
Maybe it's just Fast 6. Maybe they just use the same title again with the 6,
maybe.
which is the most consistent there's been between 2 entries, admittedly, between those 2. And then 7 was Furious 7.
Oh yeah.
And then it was
is that supposed to be like a pun, kinda, or like on the Magnificent 7 or something, or?
I think so. And then the 8th one is the Fate and the Furious, which had an 8 in the Fate, I think.
Great.
The Fate and the Furious.
I hope someone got paid a lot of money for that. Like, what is this like? Is this like a comic book thing now, where people like are afraid that people will be turned off by big numbers, so everything always has to be like relaunched and stuff? So it's just, all right, that's so stupid, goddamn stupid.
Terrified of someone thinking they can't go to a movie if they've not seen the previous ones. That's exactly why we had a new Halloween movie last year, Tim, and it was a sequel to the original, but for some reason it was just called Halloween.
So stupid.
And there was just another one, wasn't there? There was another one coming up this year like that. where it's a sequel, but it's just the same name.
Oh, I mean, I'm sure there's,
Yeah.
that's kind of, I guess, kind of the norm now.
Yeah.
It's very annoying.
Even video games, God of War, like the new one, like it's
Yeah.
kind of a semi reboot, but it does kind of follow on from the first four or first three.
Yeah. Well, not Devil May Cry though. They're sticking a big old 5 on that one. Not caring.
Yeah, only because they don't want anyone to think that it's part of the reboot continuity. Like, we have to make it clear that we're
true.
part of that original series. The Dante and Co are back.
That's fair.
Yes.
That's true.
So that was 5 minutes, not about Dementia 13. So you know you're in for a treat today with us tangent.
It's a short movie.
Yeah, it's true. It is. It's 75 minutes long. It's a very short movie. It's actually directed by Francis Ford Coppola.
Mm-hmm.
The director, of course.
Bram Stoker's Dracula. You're right.
That's what you go with. Not The Godfather. Not Apocalypse Now.
That's what I know him for.
Yeah. I hate that movie so much.
You're a vampire?
No.
Guess what? I love it. So look forward to that episode.
Oh, God. You know, one day we're going to have like a Dracula month and do like a bunch of Dracula movies. And that's
Ooh, I do love that. You know what? I don't know how these things work, but I always see people, especially around this time for, I guess, March Madness or whatever, people always have these kind of brackets or whatever. Yeah, not just for basketball, but like I'll see other movie podcasts or something. They'll do like a movie themed one or something. And maybe we should do that one month where we have some type of like Dracula bracket, Dracula or something where we just have all these Dracula movies and see who wins in the end, and then we do that movie. Sounds fun.
This sounds like a voting system, but there's going to be like, instead of 4 options, there's like 16, and they get narrowed down as we go.
Yeah, I think that's isn't that? I mean, again, I don't know what March Madness is. Maybe if someone likes sports, they can explain it to us. But I think that's what it is. Like 2 teams go head to head in a bunch of different brackets until eventually you have like one final winner or whatever.
I think for this to work, the more interesting thing to do, because I feel like just having one winner that we do at the end would be kind of dull, because it's just one movie at the end, right? I think what you do is you say, okay, it's going to be Dracula versus Frankenstein. So so we do a bunch of votes, no. So we do a bunch of movies that are like double features, right? And we review like a Dracula and a Frankenstein movie in each one. So we have them as pairs, and then at the end of the series, let's say there's 4 of them, we have to pick who has the better who's the better
Oh, so if Dracula,
movies. Yeah,
okay,
or Dracula movies better, or Frankenstein movies better. We just watched a bunch of them.
Interesting. Okay, I like that. That's fun. Yeah,
it's a lot of work though. That's like
fun.
2 movies per episode for like a month. So I don't know. That's just maybe a bit ambitious.
Well, maybe it's something we can think about, and if people like the idea, maybe they can sound off in the comments or whatever.
Or we just review a bunch of Dracula movies in a month, and then at the end, the audience vote on what the best Dracula movie was. I don't know, and we give it a prize. Tim will send it his dick statue that was used in a murder scene in A Clockwork Orange.
Always nice to do a callback to a joke we made off air, but I don't know. Maybe we can.
Oh, did we do that off air? Shit.
It's probably not going to make sense because.
Look, there was a whole story about Brett Ratner having the dick statue from A Clockwork Orange. There was a whole thing that Tim told me about before the show started. Right, that's what it was.
But yeah, for the record though, maybe we'll present some type of prize to the Stoker estate, I guess.
The Stoker estate.
Would it? I think what I must say is it Stroker or Stoker now?
Stoker. There's not stroking anything. It's Stoker.
But I got confused because there's a movie called Stoker as well.
There is a very good movie.
Yeah, so I was like, wait a minute.
I remember several people thinking that was going to be a vampire movie because it was called Stoker.
It was a good movie, but probably could have used a vampire.
I did quite like that movie. That was I think that was Park Chan-wook's first English-speaking film.
I believe you are correct.
But it was good. I like that movie a lot. But Dementia 13, which we should talk about. So we'll start spoiler-free as we always do. We'll give you a warning in the middle before we go to spoilers. So this movie, I had no idea what this was about before we watched it. I'd heard of it. I put it on the vote, and it won. So I was like, okay, right, let's watch Dementia 13. That's usually how this works. And
Yeah.
so it starts off, and it's like this guy and his wife, like they're on this lake in a boat, and he's having a heart attack, or he's having like he's got a weak heart, so he has pills for his heart, and his pills are empty, so he dies. But the wife clearly wants the inheritance that is going to come from his mother, so she dumps him in the lake, and she goes to visit his family in Ireland because they've got this like yearly ceremony because they have this like yearly memorial for his sister that died when she was a kid.
Mhm.
And her plan,
Sounds healthy.
yeah, her plan is to try and scare the mother to death so that like he will get the inheritance whilst everyone still thinks he's alive. She fakes a letter saying that he's went to New York for business, so she's planning to pretend he's still alive for just long enough that the mother will die so that she can get the inheritance, even though he'll never be able to shop and like sign for or receive it in any way, shape, or form. There's some flaws in her plan here, but that's essentially the gist of it. But when she gets to the house in Ireland, she's told that it's haunted, and the movie takes some unexpected turns from there. In fact, the first thing I'd probably compare it to, bizarrely, not in plot so much, but I would actually compare it a lot to Psycho, which came out a few years earlier, in the sense that it's about her with this like scheme, right? It's kind of a thriller because she's got this like evil plan and she's trying to enact it, and then about 30 minutes into the movie, it just takes this sharp turn, and it's like, oh, it's actually a horror movie. I mean, I knew it was a horror movie because I didn't put it on the vote without knowing that, but like because I was kind of sitting, is this really a horror movie? Did we pick something that was kind of more of a thriller? And then all of a sudden, like 30 minutes in, it's like, nope, here it is. Here's the horror stuff.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So anyway, Tim, did you enjoy Dementia 13?
So I'd actually seen this before, mostly because it was mentioned in a book by Stephen King called Dance Macabre, which it's this book that he did, which is kind of like all of his musings on the horror genre. So kind of talks about what he likes about it and some of his like favorite horror movies and stuff. And I had like a little list of some of the movies he mentioned. So I actually got this a long time ago and watched it, but I didn't remember a ton of it. So I was especially like when we do like these older movies, I don't know if it's considered like a classic or a cult classic or something, but you kind of want to be like, oh yeah, this is gonna be great. Like there's a reason why it's stuck around, and it's this worked from this famous director and stuff. But I mean, honestly though, I gotta say, I wasn't crazy about it. I mostly was just kind of bored by it. Like there's definitely some good stuff in it. Like I think there's not a ton of like I feel like horror moments. Like when they do happen, they're pretty cool. But for the most part, I was kind of just bored. I don't really care about stuff about rich families and kind of these squabbling and fighting for inheritance, like, which I feel like is kind of most of the movie, and I don't know, that stuff just kind of bored me, unfortunately.
Yeah, that's fair. I don't even know what you'd call this. So you said as a classic, as a cult classic. I think it's closer to a cult classic in the sense that I don't think it's a movie that's like got this reverence. It's not in the list of movies with Psycho and The Birds and.
I should say I actually do own it, but I have like a DVD that's like 10 cult classics on DVD, and this is one of them. So I mean, if we're going by the DVD I own, then technically it is a cult classic.
I rented the place I read because there was only one store online I could find that was like renting it digitally, and the place I rented it from was in HD, but the audio quality was kind of rough. Like I felt like it was kind of harsh in my ears, and it was like kind of unpleasant to listen to actually.
There were actually some times when I was watching the DVD, like it's I guess it's like very it's an older, very early movie, maybe I don't know if it was preserved that great or just the DVD they put out maybe probably wasn't the best. Again, it's like 10 cult classics on DVD for $4.99 is probably not.
It's a bargain bin thing.
Yeah. So, but there was definitely like scenes where I was like, I can't really tell what's going on, or I can't really hear that well.
Yeah, there was definitely lines of dialogue. It took me like my ears a couple of lines to adjust to how it sounded because the first couple of lines I was like, what did they just say? And so. And I've got plenty of movies from this era that sound great on Blu-ray and stuff. So
sure, yeah.
Clearly, it's more just that this needs remastered. And maybe that's another sign that it's not that great a movie that no one's actually bothered to put in the time and effort to spruce it up. I don't think it's a bad movie though. I think it's an interesting little work. I think is a film by Francis Ford Coppola. I think it's a really interesting, like, experimental little film that he did before he went on to do, because this is 7 years before, like, Godfather, but maybe 9 years before Godfather, actually. Because Godfather,
is it his first movie, or
I don't know if it's his first movie. Let me check. Let me go and click on his name and see what.
I would assume, like, if not, probably one of his first.
Yeah, I assume it's an early one. Well, this is producer credits. IMDb's failed me and defaulted to producer. Director, here we go. So, it wasn't his first movie. He had two full feature lengths to his name before this. He had The Bellboy and the Playgirls, and he had Tonight for Sure. What is The Bellboy and the Playgirls?
Well,
The Bellboy is after more than just big tips.
That makes sense. He probably wants a promotion.
Yeah, this looks like a raunchy comedy from 1962. So,
ooh, and if there's ever a time period for raunchy comedies, it was 1962 for sure.
Oh yeah.
Just a quick quick little aside. When you're dogging on IMDb, I don't like, what is with these like websites and search engines and stuff when you like type something in and it doesn't automatically give you like the first result, like just like a, like for example, something like, if you want to look up like a Halloween movie or something, and like, Halloween's like not like the first whatever 10, 11 results like should be Halloween movies, but instead, like, I don't know, I feel like you always get like these weird random TV episodes titled something, or I don't know, some actor with a similar name or something. It just annoys me when it's like, how are you not finding the thing I am very clearly looking for?
I'm going to type in Halloween Town and see what comes up.
That's just an example, but
so when I actually press enter, the first thing that comes up is, however, the first thing that comes up in the autofill, right? The second thing is Halloween from last year. The first one is called Scary Good, classic chills and modern day thrills at IMDb's Guide to Horror. So clearly that's them promoting that. They want you to find that. So they're making a point of putting that there. The second thing after Halloween, though, from last year is actually Goosebumps 2, Haunted Halloween.
Yeah, see, I'm sorry, if someone's looking up Halloween, they ain't looking for Goosebumps 2.
I actually understand the logic to this one, though, is I think, and I've noticed this before, is that IMDb, they kind of prioritize things that are in the last like 6 months to a year over older stuff. So even though that's less relevant to the search Halloween, because underneath that it's all the Halloween movies, right? It's what you expect. It's Halloween, Halloween 2007, Halloween 2, Halloween H2O, so on. Okay. Boo 2, I mean, Medea Halloween, piss off. Right? It's everything that makes sense. But I get what you're saying, though. I get what you're saying. It could be frustrating.
It drives me crazy.
It could be frustrating. So it's not. I think the movie's okay. Like I think it had some atmosphere at places. I kind of liked how it felt kind of extreme for a 1962 movie, or 1963 movie rather. Honestly, like when I actually got to the violence, like sure there was cutaways, there was things that obviously felt different to what it would be later, but I'm so used to like the type of things you would see in movies of this era, and there was a lot more like dead bodies being dragged around. There was like blood kind of flowing. Like it felt a little bit more extreme from what I expect from the era. So it feels like it was kind of an exploitation movie almost for 1963, which is interesting. So I think is it a great movie on its own? Not really. It's got some interesting parts to it. I think it's mostly a curiosity to see like a Coppola movie like before he started like making his big famous movies. I didn't regret watching it though. It was a decent enough 75 minutes. I wasn't, you said you were bored. I wouldn't say I was bored too much. I would have said that I was intrigued for the most part. When it did take that turn about 30 minutes in, I went, "Oh, okay, interesting. Here we go." Yeah. But there was things that definitely whiffed. I thought like the actual plot of the movie felt like it was like I actually think it's too short. I think 75 minutes wasn't enough time to actually set up the characters in a way where the payoffs at the end actually felt like they made any kind of sense or had any weight to them. Because like, I got to the end and it felt like they just quickly like dealt with it and explained it as as quickly as humanly possible. One of the characters, the doctor character, just kind of stumbles into the horror essentially, and then it's over within like 2 minutes. It's kind of weird how quickly it just wraps up. It's almost like, we don't have time to actually shoot anymore. Let's just quickly, finish this. So that was a bit strange, but it's not bad. I think if you've got access to it and you need a short little horror movie, maybe this Halloween or this October to squeeze in there, get those numbers up, then it's not a bad one to throw in. But it's not something I'd like. You have to see Dementia 13. It's a classic. It's notable for all these reasons.
Yeah, it doesn't like kind of live up to maybe. And I think maybe I had high hopes because of like reading about it in Dance Macabre and stuff, and being like, oh, like this is a movie Stephen King, like it's probably this kind of hidden gem of like really cool cult classic that not a lot of people talk about, and I feel like it really doesn't live up to that. But it's I mean I am glad that I've seen it because there's enough interesting stuff in it, I guess. But I don't really have much of a desire to watch it again anytime soon.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. So I suppose we'll give the spoiler warning so we can just talk about the movie then, in general. So I actually quite like the actress who plays was it Louise?
Louise?
Yeah, was the wife who kind of murdered her husband accidentally, kind of.
Yeah, she's actually really good. I like her a lot.
She had this kind of like likable, mischievous kind of attitude to her, as she was kind of like inquiring about what went on at the house and about the sister who died, and she's essentially trying to set up this scary thing to happen in the lake. She like steals some of the daughter's old dolls so that they'll rise to the surface of the lake in the morning.
Because the mother is like kind of like the mother thinks like that or like believes in like ghosts and like weird stuff like that, and then the whole point is kind of trying to scare the mom into like dying so you can get that inheritance.
Pretty much. It's a convoluted plan, but it's kind of delightful in its own twisted way.
Yeah.
But she as she's doing this, like, and she has some fun sort of creeping around the house, finding these things, and I think maybe the movie suffered a little bit because I liked her more than any other characters. So,
True, yeah.
But in spoilers, she gets killed at this 30. Remember, this is why I was compared to Psycho. It's very Janet Leigh in Psycho, where she is the main character, she's the one you're following. And then all of a sudden she's like hacked to pieces with an axe, and it's like it's a great moment. But
and like she like comes like she's down in the lake, and then I think this was something that I kind of had trouble seeing. Did she see something in the lake that scared her?
It was the body of like adult Kathleen, the sister.
Kathleen, the dead sister.
Because there's a tombstone under the lake that someone put there that we find out about later.
Yeah, I think it was supposed to be a dead body, but just again, maybe the DVD was like really hard quality, but it was kind of hard to make out exactly what it was. But yeah, she gets scared, and then she comes up, and there's this like axe wielding maniac, which is really cool. I like that. Like this moment, I liked a lot.
Yeah.
And I kind of wish I think maybe that was my problem is and sure, I guess it's not supposed to be the focus of the movie, but I kind of wanted more of this axe maniac. Like he shows up like one more time or.
Well, twice.
A few more times,
including the ending, is twice at least.
Okay, yeah. But I mean, I liked it, and it almost kind of makes it feel like ooh, this is almost kind of like a slasher, like in the 60s or something.
Because
but
up until this point, there was no indication there was like killings going on. There was no indication that there was a murderer of any kind. So this was genuinely kind of surprising, not knowing anything about the movie, that this axe just starts coming down at her, and she's her body's been dragged along the ground as it's dead, and I was like, this is actually kind of, I mean, sure, it cut away from the actual hacking, you don't see any like axe getting into anything or anything like that, but her being dragged across the ground when she's dead, actually, and in her underwear, felt a lot more graphic than I'd expect from this era, so that really stuck out to me.
Yeah.
Here's the thing, so I agree that it was hard to tell what she saw in the lake. I actually went back and looked at it again, because I didn't really see what it was the first time the shot happened, so like 5 seconds later, I don't even know what she saw there, and so I went back 10 seconds and looked at it again, and I was like, okay, it's a body, I can kind of see the face there, okay, right, I'm seeing what it is. Funnily enough, the second time the axe murderer shows up, because every time he shows up, because this first time it's at night, and it sort of shows you this shot looking up at him as he's like bringing the axe down, but he's kind of in silhouette, right, so you can't really see who he is. The second time it's in daylight, and they try to do the same thing again when he's in silhouette, and he's killing as like a duck hunter who we meet once earlier in the movie, who is then killed by the axe murderer. The second time, despite the fact that they're doing this silhouette thing, and despite the fact that we've admitted that there's certain moments in the film where it's hard to see what's going on, I could actually see who it was. Like they didn't actually, I think it was just like the this part of his head, the top of his head, the way his hair curled. I knew exactly what character it was, and I knew who the killer was from that point on. And I don't think it'd have been that shocking anyway, because like honestly, it was one of two people, and I felt like one was the obvious red herring, and the other one was the one who it was going to be. But
Makes sense. Yeah.
it was just like, okay, I know who the killer is. It felt like a whiff on the filmmaker's part. Like, wait, I can see who this is.
Yeah.
It's not hidden. It's the brother. It's not the brother that is kind of angry that everyone would think it would be. It's the other one who's kind of sensitive. What a shock! I'm shocked here. Look at me be shocked.
Oh my gosh.
But yeah, so those are the big surprises of the movie.
Yeah.
The other main plot point is that the doctor who's around, who's the one actor. The reason why the Clockwork Orange story came up before we started was that the doctor's played by Patrick McGee, who was in A Clockwork Orange. He was the husband and the couple who are assaulted in Clockwork Orange. He's the doctor in this movie, and he is concerned for the health of the mother, and he's like, hey, all this nonsense, someone's trying to scare her, and he's wanting the lake to be drained to find the tombstone, and he's very skeptical, and the brother's gonna get annoyed at him that he keeps kind of poking his nose in. At the end of the movie, he just kind of he just finds the dead bodies that have been piling up over the movie, and there's not really anything to like lead him there. He just kind of like saunters into this like little side house, and I'm like, they've been here the whole time. It felt just such a rush thing to do to like get to this point in the movie. There was a couple of elements like that where it felt like you didn't spend time setting this up or like building to this moment or any of that kind of thing. You just kind of did it. And that was kind of weird.
Yeah, it is a little abrupt.
Yes. I thought you were going to say more there, Timmy. It was abrupt.
Yeah.
Your comment was abrupt. Yes.
Yeah.
You were abrupt about the abruptness of this. But like it just kind of happens, and once that happens, like Richard and his bride to be, who are the other main characters, Richard's one of the brothers, the one who you think's more likely to be the killer. He and his wife are kind of like making out somewhere, and then she comes out, and because the one recurring theme in the movie is that this dead body of the sister keeps popping up before the killings happen, and she sees the body like floating in the water or in the ground, and she goes to like touch it, and then you just hear, get away from her, and it's the other brother comes out with the axe, and he struggles with Richard, so the brothers struggle a little bit, and then the doctor shoots the bad guy, and kind of just explains, he went crazy, he pushed his sister in the lake all those years ago, and he basically made this wax like doll of his sister so he could protect her because he felt guilty, and so anyone who gets near her he murders with an axe.
Yeah, sorry, I was trying to remember the name of the girl from Friday the 13th Part 7. I was trying to make a joke about resurrecting the body from the lake and accidentally resurrecting Jason.
I think you'll... do you know what? See, when you started that sentence, I'm like, I'm not going to know what this is. And then you said Part 7, and it immediately came to me. The name is Tina.
Tina, that's what I thought. I kept thinking Carrie, because obviously, but...
Yeah.
So there you go. Whatever the joke would have been, you can just imagine it and know it would have been hilarious.
This is assemble your own joke, the show. We give you the elements and then you just kind of put them together yourself on your end. Whatever's funniest to you guys.
I can't do every joke for you. Jesus, we're not making that much money yet.
Yeah, so Dementia 13 is I mean,
why is it called that?
Well, he has dementia.
And it's been 13 years since the sister drowned. I don't know.
It might be. It might be 13 years. I mean, what's funny though is that...
To be fair, I should say I love the title because I love just weird words that, like, I don't know why they're together, but... Sure.
But no, I kind of like, I love the swerve when the horror, the axe murderer comes in, but the movie does kind of lose something after that when the most interesting character who we're following is suddenly not there anymore, because I kind of felt like, okay, she was our protagonist, who's the main character now, and there wasn't like a replacement for her. It just kind of cut around the rest of the characters then for the rest of the movie.
Yeah.
It felt a little bit unfocused from that point on in terms of like a narrative focus, which I think made it suffer a little bit, even though there was some scenes that to have fun with after that. But I do think that opening 30 minutes is probably the strongest, and The axe
Oh, I
murderer is
agree,
kind of the ending of that 30 minutes, and that's kind of your little short movie that you could just sort of have and not explain anything with.
Yeah, like I mean, even the opening scene I like when they're on the rowboat, just the way it looks, in black and white, and where the water is so dark and everything, like it's kind of cool.
Oh yeah, I will say, despite the fact that we criticize that there's sometimes the quality makes it hard to see certain things, the actual cinematography I think is pretty solid for the most part. Like, I think there's a lot of shots of her in the boat when she's looking like down at her husband's body and stuff like that that just have this really good kind of look to them. It's this atmosphere. It's just like black and white, but like it's nighttime, so it's just pitch black behind her, and it's just a stark white face and hair just kind of like in the middle of the frame. It looks quite good. Like, it has this kind of eerie feeling to it.
Yeah, it's definitely cool stuff like that, and like I wouldn't say maybe that it's like the most like memorable score, but I did like the music. Like, it does feel very of that time, but sometimes I kind of like, going back to like, oh, this is, that kind of like 60s horror, sound to it. So like, it fits with that aesthetic and everything.
I agree. I like the music as well, especially when it went into the sort of the higher piano stuff, where it was kind of
and like there's like good like stuff when obviously like when the axe murderer appears and stuff. There's like good stings and stuff there.
Yeah, no, it's kind of an interesting movie. Just in it's like, it's not a great one overall, but there's it certainly wasn't a bad watch, and it certainly has some things going for it. We're like, okay. Like, as much as we've tangented a lot in this, so it's not like there's that much to talk about in the grand scheme of things compared to other movies. But I think what is there to talk about is kind of at least curious. It's like, okay, so this is this weird experimental film from before horror movies became, because it is kind of this, not quite a slasher, but it's like kind of getting towards it a little bit.
Yeah, like it feels like there's like slasher elements, like kind of almost haunted house elements, which we obviously had haunted house movies before, but it still feels like there's like a lot of stuff here that maybe hasn't been super popularized or mainstream yet, which is interesting.
Yeah, so we think there's something supernatural going on, and the twist is that there's actually just an actual murderer on the premises. What does that sound like? What other movie does that sound like from the past couple of years?
Oh.
Just for the record, right? Let's just point that out, that there's some similarities to a certain film.
Oh, for sure. Of course, the big takeaway I thought was like, oh, this very clearly influenced The Boy. That's I think that was a huge takeaway.
This, of course, is much better than The Boy. It's not even close, but that's
not comparable.
Yeah. Actually, here's a comment I want to make. So, the film's set in Ireland, right? And it mentions that both the wives that have married into the family are both American, so that's fine. Every other, like, there's a couple of like servants who work there who have got Irish accents. All the Irish family, though, none of them have Irish accents.
Well, maybe they studied abroad or.
Well, no, it's funny you say that, because the justification for was it Billy, the one who turns out to be the killer? Someone mentions that he get educated in America, so I guess that's the justification, that he lost his accent. But I'm like, seriously, come on, no one else has an Irish accent in your Irish setting. Come on now, come on. He should be walking out the axe going, "Top of the morning to you, and off with your head." Like, that was not an Irish accent. I apologize, I can't do it. But
this was before the days when actors knew how to do accents.
On that bombshell.
Like, I mean, clearly it was a lesson that Francis Ford Coppola would learn later when he did Bram Stoker's Dracula. By then he would know that his actors would have to do accents.
What you're saying is he has a long established history of having actors not do proper accents. That's what you're saying to me.
Maybe.
Yes. 30 years apart, and you still had that problem. Interesting. But that is that's Dementia 13. So it's a shorter movie, and it's definitely got its faults. But I don't think it's a bad movie. I think there's some interesting facets in there.
Yeah.
So, what are you rating it, Timmy?
This might be a little unconventional, but I think in honor of the movie, I'm actually going to give it a 13.
Given that you started this with saying you didn't like it that much, that's particularly notable.
I guess if I can't do 13 out of 10 though, I guess my actual score would probably be a 5.5. Which I mean, it might be a little harsh, but again, I can't really deny that I was like, bored throughout a lot of the movie. But there was still stuff that I like, so I'm gonna bump it over and not, say that it was like a bad movie or a movie I hated. But I would say, it was like an okay movie with a few things I liked, but didn't really reach, any upper echelons of like, ooh, I love this or this was fantastic or whatever.
I think I liked it a little bit more than you did. I
Mhm.
will probably go with a 6.5. Not quite there to call it good, like which is what I'd say a
Mhm.
7 is, but I think it's kind of bordering on there, and there's enough going on that I think it's worth checking out. If you like the idea of checking out some
Oh, sure. Yeah.
smaller films from this era, I think it's got some things in there that are worth checking out. You can definitely feel the inspiration from Psycho, which is only a few years earlier. It was 1960.
Mhm.
This is kind of maybe like I don't know if there was much of a boom of, like after Psycho that there was after Halloween for slashers, but certainly it feels like this was maybe something that did exist because of Psycho. Um, but hey, so that is Dementia 13. So if you've seen the movie, you can let us know what you thought of it in the comments below.
Mhm.
You can like and
Mhm.
subscribe. You can do all that stuff. You can support us over at Patreon, patreon.com/MailFuzzTV. If you want to support Screams After Midnight and all the other shows we do on the channel, you can do that over there for as little as $1 per month. In fact, starting this month, we're going to be doing an exclusive bonus episode in the $1 tier for patrons. So there'll be an extra episode sometime this month, so you can look forward to that. But otherwise, that is it. So thank you once again for watching and listening. We always appreciate it. Keep watching scary movies, guys, and we will see you next